So 1 Million Cups was started by the Kauffman Foundation with the idea of promoting entrepreneurial networking and education. Every week, we bring in 2 entrepreneurs to tell us their story, their entrepreneurial journey, their trials, their tribulations, their successes, and then we have 15 minutes with the audience asking them questions. And that's the real value add, where you all get to challenge them, provide valuable feedback, give them ideas. All the entrepreneurs that have presented have said, hey, this is really valuable to us. We've gotten a lot of great ideas and input and feedback, so don't be afraid to challenge them and get in the weeds with that portion of it. We'd like to shout out to our sponsors. The delicious coffee is by Krispy Kreme Donuts. No donuts, just coffee, so that's in the back. And also, as we mentioned, we are being live streamed, Borderland TV and Digital Bull Creative. And also, the Hub of Human Innovation, our venue sponsor. Please download the mobile app at 1millioncups.org, and you can check in. You can also provide feedback on the app, even after the fact, to the presenters. Please also check in and follow the Hub on Facebook and on Twitter as well. And with that, we'll go to our first presenter, Northwestern Mutual.
Good morning, everyone. Is this on?
No, that's only for the live stream. That you won't hear it, but you still need to talk into it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. How are you all doing? Let me see if I can figure this stuff out. I'm a lefty, so I'm trying to figure things out. I'm Cynthia Trejo. I'm a financial representative with Northwestern Mutual, and I want to thank the Hub Incubator today to give me the opportunity to speak. So I'm going to share a little bit of about myself and how I got into the entrepreneurial role. I have a sales and marketing background. I've done sales and marketing for about 25 years. Everybody can hear me okay? Yeah? I've done sales and marketing for about 25 years. I actually started when I was 5, right? I've been self-employed. I've done business management. I've been in the financial services industry for about 7 years, and I'm very involved in the community because I love business and I love making things happen within the community. I'm a current board member with the Association for Latino Professionals of America. I'm a past president for the National Association of Women Business Owners for the Las Cruces and El Paso chapter, and I was a previous advisory board member with the Greater Chamber. So a little bit of how my journey started in entrepreneurship. I actually started in sales and marketing. I had never considered going into a sales role, but a good friend of mine persuaded me to apply for a position within a sales position within a company, and the position was strictly commission. But I quickly learned that it was something that I really enjoyed doing. I love working with people. I love trying to find solutions. I love understanding the processes as an analysis, thinking outside the box, and really enjoyed working with business owners. And that's where my journey started. I realized how much I enjoyed sales, because we have the opportunity to really do as much as you can with your income. I did very well with sales goals and reaching goals and all that great stuff. And then the experience that I had is one day I after a month of great sales within the company that I was with, the manager called me into the office. And I thought I was in trouble. But as I went into the office, he handed me an envelope. And he said, "Is there anything that I can do for you?" And I thought, well, no. And he said, "Well, just wanted to let you know that I've never given a commission check to anyone this big. I've been here for 12 years and I've never experienced this." And I thought, wow, this is great. So I opened up my check, and it was great, but it had also been docked like $10,000. And that's when I realized that I needed to do something new, something different. There was a change of mindset there. And that's where my entrepreneurial journey began. Needless to say, I ended up giving my notice, and that's when I started my first business, which was in advertising. I need to take a look at my notes. So it was in advertising. I believe that I'm really living my life's purpose and passion. To me, success equals living your purpose. If you Google the word success, it's aiming for accomplishing an aim or a purpose. And my purpose is to make a positive impact within the people that I come across on a daily basis. That's my purpose. And I do that with what I do currently as a financial planner. I get to sit down with individuals, talk about their goals, find out where they want to be in the next 3, 5, 10 years, personally, professionally, financially. And then my role is to try to help them reach those goals. One of my passions is working with business owners like yourself, right? Business owners have that entrepreneurial spirit. They're passionate, they're risk takers, and they're also the backbone of the economy with providing jobs and within the communities. I am also very dedicated to helping women in business. And the reason is that women are making very big strides within the workforce. 55% of women are in the workforce, and 40% are head of households. But many women tend to shy away when it comes to financial planning. And that's the reason why I've dedicated myself to helping women in business. Women are less likely to look into financial planning, and they're more likely to take a career break when you're raising children. If we look at some stats here, 81% of women in their 20s, they're not contributing to their 401k. And 30% of them are not doing that because they don't understand it. 21% of women in their 30s, they expect to live off of their spouse's retirement. And then 23% of those that are 40 years or older, they're not planning for retirement because they want to help their children and support their children. So I believe it's important that we empower ourselves, women, to become financially secure. And that's the reason why we're putting together a series of workshops through Northwestern Mutual. Our first workshop is going to be on August the 31st. It's called Unleash the Power Within. We're going to connect, collaborate, and connect with women business owners and really work to help you all with that. It's on August the 31st. It's at the Northwestern Mutual office, and we'll be providing lunch. So we have a sign-up sheet, and if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. That's it. Thank you. Any questions?
We have 15 minutes for Q&A. Questions? Any questions?
Yes.
Who do you say is your customer demographic?
Demographic. For business owners. So I aim at, for business owners, and women. So women at all the levels. It could be someone who's just starting off, someone who's already established their career, an executive who's out there making things happen. That's who that's my focus. Mm-hmm. Yes?
I think the number was 23% of women stay in their retirement income or a place of their children above the retirement income.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It seems like a very low number to me.
Well, that's women in their 40s. So I was going through the different ages, women in their 20s, and their 30s, and their 40s. But women in their 40s are really looking to support their children. And their children at that age probably are closer to being in high school, right, going into college. So they want to help their children in college. And one of the things that I share with my clients is, it's great and wonderful that you want to help your son or daughter go into college, and you can borrow for, to go into college, but you can't borrow for retirement. So it's important that you prioritize. Yes.
When you talk about helping women in business, what's your prime focus? How do you win and help somebody who's on a one-to-one?
I sit down with each client individually. I want to find out, who they are, what's important to them, what are their goals on a professional level, on a personal level, and then from there I put together an analysis to see how I can help them reach their goals. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes?
Could you people share a story of like something you helped through that process?
Yeah, I can. Actually, yes. In the initial stages within my Q&As, I'm finding out about the person, finding out what's important to them. I have a young couple. They're expecting a baby. And within my first visit, there was a big eye-opener experience for them because we go into a budget. We go into what's coming in, what's going out, how much is being spent on going out to eat, which that's a big issue there is, how much we're spending on going out to eat. We're a dual income family. Most people are dual income family. So there's not any time to make dinner, right? So we go out to eat a lot. tend to go out to eat a lot. But in reviewing all this, I never got to the point of providing an analysis or recommendations. My initial visit with the couple was a big eye-opener experience, and they made some very drastic changes within their budget. They had a truck payment of like $1,200 a month, and the husband was like, "What am I doing? This is ridiculous." And they went in and traded in their vehicle and got a smaller vehicle. He said, "I'm just using it to go to work." And so the priorities change. Any other questions?
Were you assisted by any entity as a woman in business? How did you get to that?
I've had a lot of help, and I do. I think that's one a really important thing to do as a business owner is we need to look out for mentors. We need to look out and ask questions. We can't do this alone. And I've had mentors. I've worked with the SBA, SCORE. SCORE is retired executives that help put together a business plan. I think it's important that you put together a business plan. But I had a lot of help along the way. Yes.
Any other questions? What's been your biggest challenge as you've gone into entrepreneurship or being in business for yourself?
I guess that's an answer that most people would say is cash flow. When you start off initially in business, my first business venture was cash flow. And I did very well. Sales was happening. I needed to expand, and I needed to get a business loan, and I wasn't prepared to do that. So cash flow, I think, is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to being in business. Yes.
You mentioned that you have two target demographics that you're focusing on. One is just general businesses, and one is specifically women, but your purpose is to empower women.
Correct.
So how does your business model differ when you're looking at a business that is dealing with various different types of people, male and female, compared to when you're looking at like an individual?
Right. Women are more, as you know, more nurturing. So they're more concerned about their families. And so that's the area we tend to go to. What can we do for your family? What can we do for those that you're going to leave behind? Although men are the same way, but women have more. They have more needs. We're multitaskers, and we have. Instead of sitting down and looking at one thing, we want to look at the whole picture. So I really need to sit down and help them prioritize what's important. Where do we need to start? And just taking a look at all that. So. And compared to a business, we're speaking just business in general, or are you speaking of?
I mean, you mentioned that was your target demographic.
Right.
So I was trying to see the difference between just the individual.
Right.
How you would approach it and what you would do.
Okay, for a business owner, we look at the personal and the business level. So we do look at the personal goals, situations, risk management, and all that on the personal level. On a business level, we look at the business. What are the risks associated with the business? What could happen if, to your employees, if you have a key employee? We do exit strategies. So there's other things that we look at within the business. Right. They're employees as well. So, we offer employee benefits and key employee insurance. So there's different things that we can offer for the employees as well. Yes. Yes.
As a woman entrepreneur, what do you think is the biggest struggle for women, especially entrepreneurs, and how do you encourage them to continue going over those hurdles that you see?
Right. I think it's important for women to reach out to other women. We tend to hold on to things thinking, oh, well, no one else is going through this. I belong to a roundtable group. This is a group of women. There's like 6 of us. We've been getting together over 10 years, and we meet once a week. We share what's our struggles, what things we're experiencing within our business, and we help each other. So I think it's important that women really look out and reach out to other women, because there's a lot of women out there that are wanting to help.
What have you found is your biggest personal struggle as a woman entrepreneur in your industry?
In my industry, it's very male dominant. There's only 2 of us. In fact, I wanted to introduce Carla. She's my partner, Carla Corona. She's here with me today. And there's actually only 2 of us within the office. I think there's like 13 males and us 2. So we really partnered to get together, to work together. And it's just, I don't see myself as I need to prove myself as a female. I just want to do my best. It's important to me that I take care of my clients, and the rest is taken care of. So.
Any other questions? Okay, the final question always, what can we as a community do to help you?
Okay. Northwestern Mutual doesn't really advertise. We're known as the silent giant, right? We've been around for 160 years. And so everything that we do is through word of mouth. It's done through referrals. So if you come across, as I mentioned, I have a focus in women. If you come across a woman that's out there doing awesome things, I'd love to connect with her. I'd love to meet her. And for men in the audience, I don't want to discriminate in any way, but this event that's coming up, if you're married, if you have a wife, if you have a sister, a mom, and I encourage you to invite her to this event.
Okay, great, thank you. You get a travel mug, and we need a picture. So if you want to get on this. This microphone makes it tricky. Okay, next we have time for community announcements. First, does anybody in the audience have any announcements that you would like to make or share? Any? Oh, Andrea? I don't know if it'll reach, so you may have to.
Thank you. Excuse me. My name is Andrea Kerr. I'm with the Greater El Paso Chamber of Commerce, and I just would like to invite you guys to our next networking event. It's called Business After Hours, and it's taking place at the Hotel Indigo next week on Thursday, the 17th from 5:30 to 7. There's going to be free parking after 6 o'clock at the parking lot right in between the City Hall and the Hotel Indigo. And you can access from Main Street. So there's hors d'oeuvres, drinks, and prizes for all attendees, so please join us.
Yeah, ask the current CEO.
I don't get a vote. Or yes, she would.
And speaking of, I'd like to say hello to Richard Dayub, the current president of the Greater Chamber of Commerce. The first announcement we have is the Greater El Paso Chamber of Commerce is hosting the Governor's Small Business Forum. That is tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. at the Convention Center. Can they still register to attend? Yes. You can still register to. Okay, there you have it. We'll be there, Nancy and myself. Next, we found out that Apple, the Apple store downtown, is at the Sil Vistas Mall, does have ongoing training most days. So, for instance, today, August 9th, they have 3 classes, the basics of the Apple Watch at 11 a.m. Next, they have the basics of the iPhone and iPad Intermediate at 1:45 p.m. And then at 3:45 p.m., they have sketch walks, observational drawings. And they literally have a list of, it looks like virtually every day they have training. So if you're interested in that, please check them out. Did you have an announcement right here, sir?
This Friday down at Co-work Oasis, which is at 114 Texas. If you haven't seen them or heard about them, they're on Facebook as Co-work Oasis. It's a co-working place where you can go down and share a desk, share a table with somebody, get some work done, drink a beer. It's the only co-work place I know of that has free beer. But we're having an event there on Friday. It's called the Silicon Valley in El Paso Startup Demo Day at Co-work Oasis. That's a mouthful. You can find that on Facebook as well. Friday from noon to 3, and you'll see companies in Silicon Valley presenting their demo for the first time, trying to get venture capitalists. And we hope to do those kinds of things here in El Paso as well. There's a couple of Texas companies that are going to present, I think, live at the facility. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. How come I don't get claps for mine? I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Next, the New Mexico State University Arrowhead Center is hosting Cultivating Innovation in Agriculture. That is also tomorrow, so it conflicts, unfortunately, with the Governor's Business Forum. But it's learn how to tap into innovation that's happening in agriculture. That's at the New Mexico Farm and Ranch Museum, and it's for researchers, entrepreneurs, and investors. Next, the El Paso Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is hosting their Café Pan Dulce at the GECU headquarters on Airway. That's August 18th, Friday. Not this Friday, the next Friday, and that's at 7:30 a.m. Next, the Small Business Development Center is hosting a small business tax series in El Paso. That's Tuesday, August 22nd, 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m.
1 Million Cups is a weekly educational program developed by the Kauffman Foundation.
Over the years, we've added more cities. Creates a great energy here to see what's happening across the country.
What I've learned from other entrepreneurs is very, very valuable.
Sitting in a room with other people that have ideas too, it helps people to leave thinking, you know what? My idea is worth something. It's worth pursuing. It's worth going after it. Even if it looks like a challenge, I should still go out and try to do it.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Christopher Rueda. I'm here to talk about the who, the what, and the why behind Penny Farthing Design. So let's get started. So who am I? Well, as I mentioned, I'm Christopher Rueda, born and raised in El Paso, Texas. Have been a lifelong resident with the exception of going to school for a little bit. I'm a sole proprietor. I've had Penny Farthing Design for about 1.5 years now. Before then, I was freelancing under my own personal name for about 7.5 years. My formal design training is actually in architecture, and then afterwards I got an MBA. So how does Penny Farthing work into all of this? Well, after grad school, certainly did a job hunt. I stopped writing things down at 311 different places I applied to different positions. No luck, various points in the interview process, but no hard offers. So my only way in was start your own thing. After kind of some introspection and reevaluating my choices through that job hunting process, started to figure, though down on my luck, I didn't feel out of my league. So the who. So now going on to the what. Let's back up a little bit. What is graphic design? That's one thing I think I encounter a lot when I deal with clientele. Well, at its core, graphic design is communication. It's problem solving. Has various forms, physical, virtual, can be a combination of images, letters, words, other graphical elements. The biggest thing, it's about finding concise ways to build a message for any client, any organization, and figuring out better ways to help them communicate with their core audience. So what can graphic design do for your business organization? Well, any business organization, everything they do, own, produce, needs to reflect their values and their aims from top to bottom. And what design helps you do, helps you build cohesion. What's important about cohesion is trustworthiness. Think about anything any of us interact with, be it a business, a service, a luxury item for that matter. We all make choices every day, and cohesion plays an important role, oftentimes subliminally. We don't often realize how much of an effect great design has on our perception of anything we interact with. So what makes Penny Farthing Design a great choice for you guys, or for any of your graphical needs for that matter? Well, one of the great things I'm able to offer, based on my business model as a sole proprietor, is I operate in modular teams. So it allows me to take on full service projects, but break them down to a more bite-sized chunks because I'm able to subcontract some of the additional expertise I need. So for example, for projects where I need a web developer or photographer or a software engineer, those are all opportunities for local designers to work with me under my direct creative control. So I'm a member of the local AIGA, so that allows me access to the greater El Paso design community. So what does all that mean to you guys? Less of that pesky overhead. A lot of times with big full-service projects, especially when you engage a larger firm, it can get pretty expensive, and oftentimes there's only so much they can do to work on the price with you. I have more flexibility in that particular realm. Design certainly has value, so there's only so much I can work with, but that being said, it's an opportunity for smaller businesses who don't have the level of resources quite yet to devote to a creative budget to still have that same level of cohesion and expertise revolving around their whole identity package. So what have I been up to? Quite a bit. So I often get to do a lot of designs for logos especially. It's what I tend to get asked to do the most. This is just a small selection of various things I've put together. Couple big ones. I don't know if you guys have been downtown recently, but this Urban Transformations logo right there, that was done in conjunction with the Trejo Society. And actually, the gentleman back there, Marcos Fernandez, is the photographer who actually revitalized all of the period photos for us. So if you guys get a chance, it wraps the entire bottom floor of the Plaza Hotel. It profiles 3 distinct periods in El Paso's architectural history. Adobe, the Victorian era, which is when the railroad arrived. We actually had access to timber, as well as the concrete era, which is what most of our existing skyline is of today. So as I mentioned, quite a bit. This is just a small snapshot. Maybe some things you recognize, maybe some things you don't, but this is just to give you an idea of the variety of things I've worked on. And again, this is just a small sample size. So continuing on. The why. Why is design valuable? Well, going back to the cohesion thing. Cohesion and consistency, it builds trustworthiness. And trustworthiness can affect our perception of something. And what does perception do? Well, it affects it's what motivates us and persuades us to do anything. So whether we're talking about purely graphic design or what you're wearing today, what you'll eat at for lunch, what you drove home after work, all of those things are choices we've made, and design has played a key role in all of that. And oftentimes, if you're a business and you take in a level of care to those materials, people associate your business and your expertise with the level of quality you take into account with the various touch points that you put out there for your clientele. What are touch points? Anything a client can perceive needs to be curated. So when it comes to a nice, cohesive design strategy, it's best not to skip. You want to make sure that your business cards, your brochures, your website, your applications, your stationery, the way you write emails, everything is something that can affect your brand's perception. And what is brand? Because I think that's something I want to touch on. What I do is I design identity packages. What that is, that's really more about visuals and packaging. But what a brand is, that's something that I can only set a foundation for any business. A brand is a personality of the business. It's the memories, the relationships, the opinions that collectively affect our perception of any one entity. So that's the brand experience. The same places, there's restaurants you might frequent more often than not. There's aspects about that brand experience that appeal to you, and which is why you're a returning customer. So if someone is not willing to pay a premium, make a decision, spread the word, then no brand value exists for them. But think about all the things we do day to day without even realizing it, that we have a brand, we have brands that we stick to, and that could apply to a lot of things. So what I'm getting at is one way of really building trust with your clientele and building out your message is a nice cohesive design strategy. So why do I do it? Well, among many things, as I said, it was certainly my one way into the design industry, but what's great about starting your own thing is you have to be a one-man band. You have to learn to play all the instruments. So I would have never had this sort of experience and learning experience more than that, if I hadn't kind of gone out on my own and really just tried it for myself. So it's been a grind, but what I do love about it is people. I love that I can take what I do naturally and apply that to people's lives and find better ways of helping them achieve their own dreams. So be it a small business, a bar, I have a guy hit me up for a lot of original illustration pieces too. Everyone's got their own thing. The biggest thing is I'm looking to help folks out however I can. And again, design does have value, so at a certain point, there are times I'm not always able to accommodate everybody's budget, but what I'm getting at is I do want to make sure that people do understand that there's a reason why it costs what it costs, and it has nothing to do with people trying to take advantage of a situation. Why should you care? As I mentioned, kind of just to express why design's so important anyway, but more importantly, what I'm trying to do here is kind of be a voice for the local design community, because as a member of it, one of the things we all deal with is a misperception of the value creativity can bring to anybody's business organization, but more importantly, the value what I'm getting at is what we end up having to charge sometimes, and how there's a disconnect from what they perceive they're getting versus what it costs for getting. But those same folks won't argue with a lawyer or a plumber, so it kind of cuts both ways, and that's the biggest thing, is just trying to change the perception of it. And More importantly, El Paso has a really robust design community. I'm a small firm, capable firm, I think. But more importantly, there's lots of really great entities around town. So I guess more than anything else, I want to make sure that you guys engage with the El Paso's creative community, hire local, buy local, and as the next slide should say, support local design. There you go. If there's a message I want to leave you with, this is it. So with that, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
How did you come up with the name?
So that's actually, I figured that'd be a question, so I just left it out of the presentation altogether. So my last name, Rueda, means wheel. So to be fair, I actually had the logo before I had the name. When I was freelancing on my own personal name, I had a portfolio website, so ChristopherRueda.com. But I wanted a logo, so I was actually talking to my sister, and she's like, Chris, your last name is an object. So I started thinking about wheels, but the thing about wheels is most either look nautical or automotive. I'm neither. So penny farthing design is actually, it comes off from British coins. So the penny was actually a big coin in Britain, and so it looked like a penny being led by a farthing coin, so penny farthing. So that's my way, a nuanced way rather of incorporating a wheel into my aesthetic, and I thought, despite the word penny in it, I thought it sounded fancy. So, but anybody else? I hope that answered your question, by the way. Yes, sir.
So we primarily focus on the marketing side. You don't do the actual web design.
So when I do web design, I bring in, so what I tell folks, especially when it comes to explaining my modular model, when it comes to how I do business, is oftentimes we try and find someone who can do everything. You get someone who's a jack of all trades, but a master of none. So you get someone who's not really proficient in any one area, but okay at a lot, which is, that already sounds like an unqualified person to hire. So what I'm getting at is it allows me to bring in areas of expertise that aren't my own. I couldn't play enough catch up to try and be a developer right now. What I do is design work. So this is, again, if anything, because I studied architecture, this is actually one less dimension for me. So this is, if anything, it's not that it's easy, but it's different. And a lot of it is really, marketing is an important part of it because a lot of it is communication. So as much as it's not just helping them develop vehicles for expressing what I help them build, but more importantly, understanding why things look like what they look like, why we say it this way instead of that way, you know, and a lot of that just, it's about curating an experience, helping people put themselves and their best foot forward.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yes, sir.
What about cost, if you don't mind me asking? What would a typical identity package cost?
So that is the question I get all of the time. And I have one quick answer and a more nuanced one I wrote down on the card here. So the idea is, I get that question a lot. How long is a piece of string? It's a really open-ended question. I had someone email me yesterday, what do you charge for a one-off design? Arguably, they're all one-off designs. So the biggest thing is, it depends on the problems and opportunities to be addressed, the time frame for doing so, the mediums they want me to do, as well as the client's own desires, tastes, style, sophistication, and inevitably budget. So it depends. The biggest thing is, I don't say that to be open-ended or vague about it, but the thing is, it's every client's different, every need is different, people's ability to apply resources towards that problem vary, but the biggest thing is trying to develop a package that helps them address their needs based on what they can put towards this project, but more importantly, I never give anybody something I'm not 100% behind. So regardless of the budget, you get me, you get 100% of me. So I guess.
Well, okay.
Well, I guess to give you an idea, I've done logos for a few $100 to several $1,000s. So there's a range to that. So depends on the size of the entity, how they want to use that work, because there's also rights in here, usage rights that are factored into the billing process, depending on if they want to use something or own something. So a lot of that is more contractual stuff that gets figured out depending on the specifics of any one client and our arrangement. Is that fair? Anybody else? Yes.
When it comes to branding and a client comes to you and says, I need branding, and they're thinking it's just logo, how do you go about expressing to them what exactly branding is and how to come to the table for you to be able to do your job correctly?
So the biggest thing is, in any client designer relationship, what's important is that we both bring a healthy respect for what each other brings to the table. What I try and tell clients is, I'm here to take your insider knowledge of what your day-to-day goings on are, and take my outsider's fresh eye and apply that to your challenges. The biggest thing is, it's communication. I mean, the simple bit of it is, we have a conversation, you know, and it's about laying out both what they think is involved, but more importantly, making sure they understand what's involved. So before anything gets designed, contract is signed, a deposit is paid so that they know exactly what they're getting before I do a thing. And it's not because, but it's to make sure there's no ambiguity. The last thing I want is someone to feel slighted, because that's one thing that I do experience as well, is folks who have either been rubbed the wrong way in the past or have had just a bad experience altogether. I tell folks, again, I can't speak to a prior experience, but I will do what I can to make sure that this will not be that.
So how long ago did you start the company? How long ago?
A year and a half. A year and a half, but gosh, 7.5 years of freelancing on my personal name too, so 8.5 years? So 9 years, excuse me. 29. So. I look younger? Yes, sir.
So you help people with their marketing, so how do you market yourself?
So a lot of it is social media right now. Marketing can be expensive, but one of the great things that I've found quite useful is social media, especially Instagram for me, because it's primarily graphical, so it's a way to just put almost clickbait, I would call it. So I try to put things on my Instagram that I hope will draw someone's eye. Someone just scrolling through a few things. I'm hoping that I use a lot of symmetry and bright colors. That's on purpose, you know, kind of a squirrel sort of effect. But yeah, and then a lot of it is just directly messaging folks, just asking like, here's what I'm doing over here. Really love what you guys are doing over there. Would see, you know, sometimes I can either suggest something I can help them with, or sometimes just express the fact that I would like to work with them. And then fortunately, I've had the good luck of a lot of clients who have been really happy with the work I've done and have been kind enough to pass my name along. So a combination of ways. And fortunately, as a one-man band, you know, it's easier to deal with those sort of ebbs and flows. Anybody else? Yes.
I'm interested in your perception of what the market today is like and the market going forward in this business community.
So that's actually one of the things that because, you know, starting a business is no easy decision. So it's certainly something I thought about well ahead of time. I do think that El Paso is rounding a corner you know, and I think that there's certainly a spirit of entrepreneurship that really is energizing for me. And because I work with a lot of smaller businesses, I tend to get a lot of interest from them. I am optimistic. I think the biggest thing that myself and the rest of the local design community is just trying to work towards changing the perception on how the public values design as opposed to other products or services. And the biggest thing is, I guess I never want to begrudge anybody a budget. That's the biggest thing. That's why I try to make sure that I am very careful with the language I use when it comes to speaking with a client. The biggest thing is, there are clients who truly undervalue it to a point where I hate to use the term, but it can be insulting sometimes, especially if they had done any homework. And especially when folks who will have the gall to qualify themselves as a professional but not act like one when they're talking to another. So that's something that I think that's my stand my ground sort of moments. But yeah, I am optimistic to answer your question. Overall optimistic. I think in any industry there's always difficult clientele, so that's nothing unique to me or anybody else. But that's just something that, because the industry is, what I do is industry that is highly subjective, so it's hard to always quantify results, you know, and that's the biggest thing, is making sure that expressing to the client what it's going to do for them. But again, doesn't always work out. But definitely energized, definitely optimistic, and I think El Paso as a whole is embracing design and just trying to do a better job on anything we put out there. I think that because there's other people do it, so I think they want a piece of that too. So I think, yes. Anybody else?
I have a question. I think you may have touched on this already, but what are the biggest mistakes that you see, not necessarily just your clients, but businesses in general make in terms of their branding?
I think, so I'm in a world where people will go on the internet and get a logo for $5. I get that answer a lot. Well, why hire you and spend that much when I can go and do this? And the answer is, it's not a one-to-one comparison when it comes to product quality. If you go buy a logo for $5 on the internet, you're never going to meet that designer. You're going to only be able to give so much information to that designer. And oftentimes it's stock logo. It's not going to have any sort of the personality and nuance that's involved in building anyone's brand. I mean, businesses are personal journeys. No matter what you do, it's a personal journey. It's an investment. It's a grind. So I have a respect for anybody who does anything. I mean, owning my own business has just only compounded that level of respect. So yeah, I think it can be difficult, but again, it's just doing what I can, using language to try and change their perception. And again, it's people make their own decisions. So, yes, ma'am.
So this is just a thought. I think of Mad Men. I love watching that whole series, advertising, and I'm from Chicago,
I know.
so it's like, yeah. Anyway, it's kind of like social media has now forced a lot of us to go to the Mad Men of social media.
Well,
And that's what I see your business as.
well, that's flattering. But what I would say is I think what makes things easier is whether you're checking your social media for personal reasons. If I can, like, when I directly engage a client on Instagram, because they got a message on Instagram, they don't know who it's from, but they're going to check it anyway. An email gets ignored. Letters may not get read. You know, so the biggest thing is I play on the fact that you have yourself in your hand most of the time anyway, like that guy. See? So just to goes to and you. So what I'm getting at is you're already attached to it anyway. I'm just trying to use that as my vehicle for getting to you. At the very least, you're more likely to view it, and I can also send you to me. Hey, nice to meet you. Come check out my page, and you know, it's just a way of introducing myself. And
So you need to post your Instagram.
oh, right there. Penny Farthing. We are thorough at Penny Farthing Design. Anybody else have a question?
Any other questions? Okay, what can we...
Oh wait, Adam.
Graphic design is really something that's really difficult. You know, marketing in general is really difficult for a lot of individuals or businesses to really understand the process is going through. So, you know, I do think that like, people here talk a lot about El Paso and try to talk about El Paso and say certain things, but you know, what are some of the big things you might have noticed if you're looking at work from businesses, even small businesses in places like Denver or Detroit or Chicago, New York? Maybe not necessarily.
Are the things that I notice when I'm going?
No, because I mean, I'm from an outside
Uh-huh.
perspective, and so when I came here, looking at graphic design was something that I did.
Yeah.
Looking at how people present their flyers, how people present their websites,
Mhm.
how people presented their business.
Yeah.
And looking at, and it's kind of different in other regions, cities, and different areas.
So when I tell folks when it comes to the variety of design out there and why any of you all should hire any one person, why there's no scoreboard in design. It is a subjective area, but what I tell folks is any designer, each of us is unique. We've all been born with different talents, have lived different experiences, and developed different skills along the way. So it's things that I notice when it comes to other places or other big hubs where there's a lot of great design coming out of. What I do is kind of even going back to architecture, form and function. I think to break it down to the simplest formula I used when I do anything is form and function. A lot of what you saw, even the logos earlier, a few slides back, a lot of those are a version of me, but through the but within the parameters and expectations I've been asked to operate within. I'm there to solve a problem. I'm there to work with a business. I'm a partner. What I do is more, it's less self-expression and more about utility. So I'm as much as I'm a designer myself, I'm a big fan. So I'm constantly following other designers, not just around the country, but around the world, and certainly taking note of different directions I could try, especially things that I think that aren't quite here in El Paso yet. Try and bring some different ways of looking at things to El Paso, and that's, I guess, the best I can do for your answer if that got to what you were getting at. Oh yeah. Oh, I do that. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do notice that, but that's one of those things where if there's a client who I think can help and I can really get to a decision maker, I do put myself out there. I do think that that's what frustrates me a lot is especially when I have to put like flyers together for a big event and I have a business who's sponsoring, send me their logo, and they send me a Word document with a cruddy image in it or a really tiny JPEG. So the biggest thing is, some of these have been quite large companies. It blows my mind that they don't have a vector version of their logo sometimes. Because if they're, like, I haven't gotten one from El Paso Electric before. That was pretty bad. They're a big company. No reason not to have a proper file type. I see Job, another one. I've gotten just things like that. Those are big companies who certainly have resources, and it's just. So that's the other thing is it's perception. People value things differently. I can certainly engage them. That doesn't mean they always are going to be receptive to my arguments. So that's the way it goes sometimes. Again, you can lead a horse to water, I guess, to say the saying, But anybody else?
Okay, what can we as a community do to help
Well, if I go back to my last slide here, just support local design, guys. I'm hoping you certainly engage Penny Farthing first, but the biggest thing is I've had clients who have hired designers from other cities, and that just blows my mind. Even if they don't hire me, there's certainly enough talent and expertise here that you don't need to go anywhere. You're trying to design for El Pasoans. What better than hire an El Pasoan to help you do that? So we have unique dynamics in our community, and I think that's what makes our designers especially equipped to deal with this particular city and its wonderful tapestry of culture.
Okay, thank you. You have your mug here, and we need a picture. The requisite picture, photo op. Okay, thank you. Okay, again, if you did not sign in as you were, oh.
Forgot. So, I apologize. I only brought 50 of them. I think there's 50 of you all here, but as a kind of a thank you and a way to entice you to both keep my information and my business card, I've actually brought these postcard-sized handouts. And what's special about them is you guys are actually the first to have a copy of a poster design of mine. It's actually the city of El Paso. So everyone's going to get one of these until I run out anyway. But on the back side has more information about me and Penny Farthing, as well as a business card of mine. Absolutely. So I'm going to kind of walk around handing these out, but thanks again for listening to me, and thanks for putting up with me.
Hey, I'm the one asked to get up here. There's certain privileges of that, right? So if you did not sign in on the way in, please sign in on the way out. It's very, very important. We have to report back to Kaufman. We have to report back to our funders, the attendance and the impact that we're having. Please sign up to present. I see a bunch of you in the audience that need to be presenting. I know you have your businesses and you haven't presented yet. And please come back and see us next week and bring a friend. Thank you.
One Million Cups is a weekly educational program developed by the Kaufman Foundation.
Over the years, we've added more cities. It creates a great energy here to see what's happening across the country.
What I've learned from other entrepreneurs is very, very valuable. Sitting in a room with other people that have ideas too, it helps people to leave thinking, you know what, my idea is worth something. It's worth pursuing. It's worth going after it. Even if it looks like a challenge, I should still go out and try to do it.